gold down there, Diane. There's gold down there.
You're like their number one favorite guy. Because you won them cash. Hi and welcome to the Tour Report from Secret Golf. Elk, it's a big week this week because it's kind of the end of this PGA Tour fall season. I mean, we have the Shark Shootout in a few weeks, but when it comes to regular field events, this is it.
Had a lot of talk to a lot of players this week. They are ready for this season to be over, Diane, even though, it's very, Jason Kochrack, our own, won yesterday. He's won 3 times in the last 13th months, scattered across 2 seasons on the tour, and it's confusing. You say, well, he won twice last year, but it was actually this year, and now this is a new year. So the players are a little bit exhausted. This is another opportunity. This course is a different setup than we saw at the Houston tournament this last week. We can talk a little bit about that. No length required this week, so it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, so the tournament is the RSM Classic and we're off to Sea Island in Georgia. It's not far from where I live in Jacksonville, about an hour and a half's drive, so I'm going to head up at the end of the week. And 2 beautiful courses, the Seaside course and the Plantation course. So the guys will play the Plantation course once, either Thursday or Friday. But Robert Streb won it last year. We're going to dive into his stats. He beat Kevin Kisner in a playoff. So already with those 2 names, you're seeing that it backs up what you say. Distance is not going to be a factor this week. But we're going to get into that. We're going to give you all of our picks. But first, we have to go back to the Houston Open last week, Elk, because it was such an exciting week for you. You were so busy. You were playing in the Pro-Am. You were doing lots of things, catching up with our players. One of them, who you spent a lot of time with during the week, Jason Kochrack, went on to win, and you got to see it.
I did. Yeah, Kochrack is, favored by my son, Sam. Sam's been following him for like 10 years since he first came on tour. Maybe it's not even that long, 8 years. So Sam was following Jason all week. Yesterday when we went out to the golf course, I got there a little early and sat with Jason while he was hitting balls. And we were talking about, his opportunity yesterday. And he was, I don't know if I would have said, that I think I'm going to win today, but he sort of was thinking about winning. Of course, he should be, and there was a sort of a feeling about Jason Kochrack by other people in the field. A lot of tour officials that I had up to my house during the week felt like this course was going to suit Jason Kochrack. So off I went, Diane. On Sunday, I went and followed him for the first 9, and he's played really well. The course is really difficult, and that has a lot to do with how I'm handicapping some of the players this week, because there's some leftover good golf, I think, that'll come out this week at RSM.
Well, it was an incredible win for him, as you say, his 3rd win in only 13 months. And he was flying straight to Florida to take part in the Brooks Koepka Foundation charity golf outing. And, well, we had a little chat from the car.
It was kind of crazy because I played a pretty solid first round. I didn't play great, but didn't play bad. Birdied the last 2. But playing unreal golf on Friday and then getting up on Saturday and playing the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, I did.
For 8 holes or 7 holes, and then bogeying my first hole of the 3rd round on Saturday. It just was like, it was one of those things that I was like, what, I'm not playing that bad. It was just like I got into a little bit of a funk. Really didn't feel comfortable because of it was freezing, Saturday morning, but it was not that bad because my cousin had his 3rd child, kind of snapped me out of that funk, and it really didn't set in that I played that bad. It was just like, I did some stupid stuff, but I didn't play as bad as what my score was. I mean, thinking back of playing 8 over par on 8 holes in the middle of my tournament and then going on to win is kind of crazy. But that's the type of golf course this is. I mean, the condition that we had around the greens, not a lot of grass, and it was a ball striker's golf course, which was a dream for me. So going into that tournament, I knew nobody else was making as many birdies as I was, and I just kind of tried to limit my mistakes. And I just tried to get it on the green. That's all I was trying to do.
Yeah, we saw it. So let's go back to Sunday. You're on the range. What's the mindset when you're getting ready to go on Sunday?
Well, I mean, Sunday I had Elk sitting on his little, umbrella, whatever stand behind me, warming up. I mean, I just kind of, I try not to worry about like the bad shots I was hitting on the range, and just kind of go with the flow. I mean, I knew I was hitting it well. All I wanted to do was hit fairways and greens and let the putter sock, and I did that. I mean, I rolled it really well on the front side, just didn't get anything to go. And then on the backside, I got that one to go on 13. Made a nice up and down on 12. But after that, I mean, I got a little bit of confidence, and that was all I needed to hit the ground running.
The TV cameras were locked on you when you were on 18 green, because there was a giant scoreboard right beside you, and they were like, has he looked yet? Has he looked yet? And at that point, then you had a 3-shot lead. I didn't see you look, but D-Rob definitely did.
I'm, some people are scoreboard watchers and some people aren't. I'm definitely a scoreboard watcher. Yeah. I want to know what I have to do. And, if I need to make birdie, I want to have that mindset of make birdie. If, you have to stay aggressive. And D-Rob said it coming down 18. He wants me to stay aggressive and, hit the right shots at the right time. I mean, pick good targets. But I definitely knew I had a 2-shot lead going into 18, but I knew it was a reachable par 5 on 16, a relatively short, kind of weird 17th hole, but a tough 18th hole if you miss the fairway. So, which played drastically different than the rest of the week. I mean, it played downwind as opposed to dead into the wind. I mean, I hit 7-iron, 6-iron, 5-iron in the first couple days, and then hit wedge in on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, really nice to be in the fairway on 18 on a Sunday, which is exponentially easier than if you're in the.
Yes, that's a nice end to the day. And you give D-Rob so much credit. I mean, you guys are such a great team, and anything that you've got going on is just working so well. It's a really special relationship you guys have.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I called him a couple years ago. I remember the conversation I had. I was in my garage. I was still living in Charlotte, and I called him. I was like, hey, I think we make a great team. He's an incredible green reader, incredible around the greens, level-headed, and one of those guys that no moment's too big. And, I think I always tell him, and the guys in my court, even Drew Steckel, I said, you guys do all the thinking for me. I'm just the trigger man, and I'll pull the trigger.
Okay. Well, that's a very modest way to look at it. But there's been a lot of great memories, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come as well for you guys. But delighted. 3rd win on the PGA Tour. I remember being at the Valspar a few years ago, and you almost got it done then. And I remember talking to you afterwards, and it was like, when is it going to happen? Like, when is you were so close so many times. Yeah,
I think it's one of those things that you don't know that you're going to do it until you actually do. And I thought I was going to get it done at Valspar. I thought I was going to get it done at Riviera when Bubba won. I mean, I've had my chances. I put myself in that position, and I've said it all along that the more often you put yourself in that position, the better you're going to be. But at the end of the day, it's really nice to play good golf and to win. Like I did this week on Sunday. I mean, it's a good feeling to know that your game can stack up against the best.
Oh, Elk, amazing. And I think something that he really highlights a lot, and we talked about there, was the relationship with him and his caddy, D-Rob. And we've seen a real turnaround in Kochrack's putting over the past, 13 months since he got that win in Vegas. And he said that it was something that D-Rob had suggested about his putting, a little comment that he took on right then and there, and the rest is history.
Well, it was interesting in his presentation speech. We were on the 18th green when he got the trophy, and he opened up with saying that he had no tournament victories without D-Rob. It's D-Rob, right? D-Rob?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He has no tournament victories without D-Rob. But Sam and I were talking to D-Rob because on the 17th hole, Diane, it's a sort of a layup par 4, and then we were figuring that he had one more shot that was really crucial and was going to be this, second shot at 17. If Kochrack hits that over the water, we figured he'd two-putt that. Then the 18th hole with his length was playing downwind. We knew Kochrack would hit it 330 yards down the 18th, which he actually did. But it was very important to hit the second shot at 17. And we were talking to D-Rob, Sam and I, go, what took you guys so long to hit the shot at 17? And he said Jason wanted to hit 8-iron, and it was only about 135. It was into the wind. He wanted to make sure he got across the water. And I said, well, what were you telling him? He said, I didn't want him to hit an 8-iron because he's going to make a lousy swing at a sort of a half 8-iron. I wanted him to hit the 9. I kept telling him, you've got plenty of club. I want you to hit this 30 feet long left of the flag. You can hit it as hard as you want. There's a hill there that'll bring it back. Yeah. So as you just said there, he's given him a lot of confidence, given him a free swing at a certain crucial time. So that was a very important shot that actually looked easy from where we were watching. But when you got down to the story, the caddy was really the difference on that one.
Yeah, and there seemed to be nothing easy about Memorial Park Golf Course last week anyway. Right, so as we said, this week we're on to the RSM Classic. 2 courses, Seaside Course and the Plantation Course. Elk, you said it there that distance is not going to be a really important component of doing well this week. Last year, Robert Streb was the eventual winner, but it took a playoff with Kevin Kisner, and you look at the two of them, they are not long hitters. And I mean, I think when you look at the entire field for the week, Robert Streb was 112th in distance and Kisner was 114th. So that tells you what you need to know. Their really good stats last year were greens in regulation, scrambling, and putts per greens in reg. So that's the formula that we're going to be thinking about.
Yeah, and it's not to say that a long hitter can't win at this course, but it's just sometimes, Diane, when you are a medium range hitter like Kisner, like Streb, the course actually suits you better. In other words, when there's these dogleg holes, this is a sort of as you can see in the backdrop, there's a lot of sand, a lot of little dog legs, a lot of wind coming off the ocean there. A lot of these holes, it suits a shorter hitter because he can hit his driver. He doesn't have to worry about cutting the corner. He doesn't have to lay back. It just suits their natural length of their game. And, we've seen it, even though Kochrack won at Colonial in Fort Worth, that was a chance for short hitters to win on our tour. Corey Pavin, for example, some of these really short hitters that played throughout my era, they found the courses that they were best at. So we're not saying that long hitters can't win at this one. We're just saying that it sort of suits a medium ranger.
Yeah, and looking back, bogey avoidance is going to be a big stat this week. Robert Streb only had 2 bogeys last year, and Kevin Kisner had 1 bogey throughout the entire week, which is crazy. So we on the Tour Report are going to give you our picks. Now we're going to break it down into our outright favourite, one to watch, and then our dark horse pick, all coming up for the RSM Classic.
The SG Tour Golf Gaming app, the place for you to compete and win cash on PGA Tour events. The SG Tour is a golf experience like no other, with games designed by golf professionals. You can play single-day games and tournament-long contests each week. It's easy to get involved. Join or create a game for you and your buddies. Pick 4 players and follow along with the action. And if you need some help with your picks, we've got you covered with our weekly handicapping show, The Tour Report, and exclusive content with our PGA Tour players. Join the fun and win money on the SG Tour, available in the App Store.
Well, it's the Tour Report for the final regular field tour event of 2021. Of course, this being the fall season, and everything counts when the guys get underway in Hawaii in January. Right, Elk, so we're going to give our outright favourites for this week. Last week, you'd picked Mark Leishman for the Houston Open, and it was a little bit out of left field to start, but man, he was in the mix. pretty much the entire week.
Yeah, I had him up to the house Saturday night, and he wasn't feeling 100%. He's got some sort of a, head cold or something, and his voice was scratchy. But he said, I feel fine. I just don't want to take any medicine. But I think in the end, it might have dragged him down a little bit on Sunday. His dad, of course, has been over with him for 4 months, and we had a great night here on Saturday night. But Leash played well. The course last week, and I'm going to bring it into my picks this week. Only 10 under par won the tournament at the Houston Open, Diane. Big drop-offs on each side of the greens. If you didn't hit the fairway, you had no chance of playing the hole. It was a very, very patient week. And the guys that played well last week, Diane, I am totally dragging them over to this week because this course is going to be a piece of cake compared to what they just got off in Houston.
I'm doing the same for one of them, and I'm preparing myself for the stick that you're going to give me. But he's not one of my ones that we're going to talk about at the top of the show. So I will cross that bridge when we come to it. Right, we're going to start with our outright favourites. And my guy this is a little bit of a heart pick, only because I would love him to win. He's won in golf before, man. He's won the Open Championship, but he's never won it on American soil, which is just crazy to me. But Louis Oosthuizen is back in action this week. I feel like we haven't seen him play for ages. And looking at his stats, looking at this course, he's 25-1. So he's definitely up there as one of the tournament favorites this week, but he's second in accuracy. Yeah, Louis a long hitter. We know that length isn't going to be huge this week, but he's first on the tour in greens and reg and second in scrambling. Putting average is letting him down, but we know that can occasionally be Louis' issue. But I think that it's all going to come together and the South African could be the winner of the RSM Classic.
Well, I think it's true that you picked a little bit with your heart there, Diane. I mean, I always say, why is Louis playing? He won about $5 million last year. Shouldn't be on that ranch that he just bought in Texas. Pushing some Florida. Shouldn't he be on his ranch in Florida where he pushing some soil around or doing what, South African farmers do? But, no way I can blame you for picking Usteizen. He's such a good player. He is looking for another win. I'm thinking about taking a player that also is looking for his first win, Diane. Scotty Scheffler, as I said, had a 2-shot lead with 8 holes to go yesterday at the Houston Open and let that slip away. He's never won on U.S. soil. Everybody speaks of Scotty Scheffler. He was on the Ryder Cup. They speak of him as he's a 10-time winner. Yeah. And he has a lot of goodwill with the media. So do you think that he's looking for one? You bet. He really would like to have a win. So it was a toss-up for me between him or Russell Henley. I followed Jason Duffin last week. I watched Henley up close. Very solid club face positions. Putts unreal. Gets on with the job. Doesn't take him long to play. I had to look hard against Henley, Diane, but I'm just going to ride out Scheffler this week because I think he was very disappointed with what happened to him yesterday. When
I think about this course, just one of the first names that comes to my head is Russell Henley. But Scheffler, the interesting storyline from last week is that he opened with a 72 and then followed it up with a 62. And we know that we had weather and play wasn't getting finished and it kind of rolled into the next day. But that 10-shot difference between rounds 1 and round 2, it's like he just had brain fuzz, shook his head, got in a different mindset, and then it was foot to the floor, a couple of 69s over the weekend to finish in a tie for second. You're right about Scheffler. He's been so close so many times. And he's so young and early in his career, but he's so hungry for that win.
Well, yeah, he got beat fair and square yesterday. He was 9 under playing the 10th hole yesterday. 10 under won the tournament. So he played the last 9 1 over. Kochrack played it 4 under. So yeah, I mean, he got soundly beat on the back 9. But yeah, and you're right about Henley. I was mostly impressed with his action. He hits the ball so straight. And the reason I like the guys that played well at Houston, Diane, is they've had to play patient all week. They had to play wide of the flag. Anyone that was impatient, that tried to hit it, they went down these crazy slopes. They couldn't get up and down. people were saying that, the course wasn't in good shape. They couldn't get their wedges underneath but they shouldn't have been over there. And the guys that I watched that played well, they kept away from the trouble all day, very patient. So I'm looking for some of these guys to maybe explode, from the good play last week.
Yeah, he's tournament favourite at 12-1, alongside Webb Simpson, who always seems to, there's a few names that they always mention for this tournament. Webb is one, Kevin Kisner is the other, and we say that Kis lost in a playoff last year. He's 40-1, plus 4,000. Those odds are pretty good for Kevin Kisner as an outright winner too.
Yeah, he won on a very similar course at Greensboro at the end. Was it this year, last year, whenever it was? It wasn't too long ago. It was a very similar golf course. Got to hit it straight. Got to hit greens, make a lot of putts. It gets windy down there. So as I said, a medium range hitter really works well off the tee on these courses. It's a little bit wider for him because they don't have to hit the long ball right up into the bottlenecks of these little holes. So yeah, I'm not looking at Kisner this week. I'm looking at Scheffler and my other one.
Russell Henley.
And Russell Henley.
Harris English is another name that's going to get bandied about here a lot this week, just for the pedigree of player he is. He lives in Sea Island too. Last year he finished with a 62 around here to really bump up that leaderboard, and this week Harris English is 25-1. So again, maybe a little bit of value in there as well. So we're looking at our outright winners. Hopefully that gives you a couple of ideas, but now we're going to get into the action. Coming up next, we have our ones to watch and those all-important, ever-interesting dark horse picks.
Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app and play 4-ball. It's a classic stroke play competition based on the aggregate scores of 4 players. Who makes your team? Well, pick 4 guys, 1 from each tier, based on the current world golf rankings. Want a tip? You need 4 guys to make the cut. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store.
Well, we're on to our ones to watch for the RSM Classic here on the Tour Report. And Elk, have you got a good one for us this week with some good odds?
Yeah, my one to watch is not going to be anything earth-shattering because I've been on this guy heavy for like the last 6 months. In fact, CBS Sports climbed all over this guy about 2 weeks after I started getting him back in the action. I knew this, of course, because he'd had a lot of injuries. He had problems driving the ball. He had problems putting. But Johnny Vegas has been on my radar for a long time. Had another good week yesterday. He's just... I spoke to him for 5 minutes yesterday and I said, mate, you just look so, so organized now, so calm. I watch how he's playing the game. And he said, hey, Elk, I'm just calm. I feel good. I'm over all my problems I had with my back. Everything is just slowed down for me. So I'm all over Johnny Vegas this week.
Okay. This is completely off topic, but I just want to ask your opinion on this because as soon as you mentioned back issues, I was like, hold on a minute. Jason Day is playing this week at plus 8,000, finished 12th here last year. His numbers are not great. I mean, not the sort of numbers that you would associate with Jason Day in years gone by, but what do you make of him playing this week on a course that he performed well on last year?
Jason Day is really hard to handicap because he was such a hot player, so playing so well. He's playing with Mark Leishman in the Shark Shootout, and Leish and I were talking about that here at my fire pit at length the other night. Oh. And he said that Jason is injury prone, which we all know that. So you never can tell, how fit he is when he plays. So it's very hard to handicap him. But he was hitting balls next to Kochrack, so I did get to see his swing. He looks fine. Everything's moving, looks fine, So I just don't know. I don't know how to handicap Jason Day because he could throw a hammy and be out at any moment.
And there's a lot of guys who live in the area. I mentioned Harris English earlier, but Patton Kazire, Zach Johnson, they both finished top 10 last year. Brian Harmon, JT Poston, Keith Mitchell. I mean, there's a whole gang of these guys that play here, a lot on their off weeks, and they play together and they have a lot of fun doing so. So it being a home event, I am definitely looking at Patton Kizzire. You're gonna laugh at me and I'm fully ready for it, it's okay. But over the weekend, Patton and his wife had a baby.
See? There it is.
I know.
It's tangible. You always do this. It always has something to do with a baby or a white pair of slacks or a nice haircut or something like that.
I know it's an obvious one, but what a lovely time for him. He's at home. They're going to have their family there. It's just nice. And I'm sure the escapism of playing in the tournament is really going to be lovely for him too. He's 125 to 1. So, you know, yeah, he could definitely be a dark horse pick with those odds, but I'm putting him one to watch because he played really well here last year, finished in a tie for 10th. 4 consistent rounds. So Patton Kizzire at 125 to 1, I think is one to watch. But the guy that I'm properly going for this week is Joel Damon. Coming off a 5th place finish last week in Houston, and you said it at the top of the show, it was a really difficult course, so hopefully, in theory, coming to this course should be a little bit of a walk in the park. But Joel Damon's playing really good golf right now, and when we did our re-ranking based on stats and current form, he shot all the way up. So, I mean, he's 44th in accuracy, which we know is going to be good this week. That 5th place finish, he can really putt, and I think with that bogey avoidance and getting hot on the greens, sticking it close, Joel Damon is my one to watch at 66 to 1.
Well, it's a good pick, and I like Patton's pick too. I remember I played my best golf the year my daughter was born in 1995, so I just cruised through the whole season, didn't think about anything. But
it works.
Your point about Joel Damon, when you play a very hard, the reason I'm so heavy on the guys that played well at Houston, Diane, is when you have to play to one side of the pin all day to play safe, that means you're so accurate to be able to hit it exactly where you want to. Because if the pin is in the middle of the green and a guy hits it 25 right or 25 left, that's one thing. But when you have to play a golf course like last week's course and you have to be on one side of the course all day, the guys who are playing, swinging the best, get to the top. So Damon will be fine. He can go ahead and hit it at the flag now because he's got room on both sides this week. So I like it.
And in 2 of his rounds in Houston last week, he was over 72% greens and reg, closed with a 65. So he can take that momentum into the RSM. So those are our ones to watch, a good couple of names. But now we're getting into the nitty gritty and our dark horse picks. Do you want to talk about yours from last week before I gloat about mine a little bit? But MJ Duffy was your diamond in the rough.
350 to 1, if I recall, or was it 450?
350. Don't get carried away now.
Okay. I don't know where he finished, but he made the cut. I saw him play a hole the other day, and I tipped my cap to him, even though he didn't see me tip my cap, knowing that he made the cut. But it was good to see. It's always good to see a young guy coming up. We talked about him last week. MJ qualified like 6 different times on Monday qualifying, got a spot last week, made the cut, played well on a hard course. I love that pick last week.
He finished T64.
It's okay.
It's okay. He made the cut, which is more than half the field did. Yeah. My pick was Denny McCarthy, and he finished in a tie for 11th after a final round 64.
That was a better pick.
Yeah, I was happy with that. So don't get mad at me, but I am shocked to see that Denny McCarthy is 125 to 1 again this week, which his last 2 finishes, we've had a 15th and an 11th. So current form is great for him. 30th for greens in reg, 23rd in scrambling, 2 stats that we're looking at this week. And he still fits my dark horse criteria. So I know I'm going back to back, but how do I look past that?
I think you better get this show produced and pushed it out the door, because I think your guy has fallen through the proverbial crack of the Vegas betting, because if he's, what was he last week, 150 to 1?
I think he was either 150 or 125. He's not far off what he is this week.
And he finished almost top 10. He's still that 125 to 1, and he played 11th at Houston. Yeah, I think Vegas has let this one slip through the crack. So I wish I was smart enough and quick enough to pick that, Diane, but I'm going for a totally different animal this week. I'm going for the 2019 Guangzhou Open champion, which you've never heard of. That was in China. This young man who also played good last week, he's from Oklahoma, Max Mccreevy. There's a name for you. 300 to 1. He's come through Korn Ferry. I'm not even sure if he's fully exempt. I think he did win a Korn Ferry event last year. 64th in Sanderson Farm, miscut, starting to trend his way up. But last week, Diane, 2 under par. Where did that finish? About top 20?
2 under par, yeah, 19th, T19.
Yeah, so he put a fair amount of cash in his pocket for a young guy, and he will be riding high going down to Sea Island. Max Mccreevy, 300 to 1, Diane. I'm just giving you names out of the left field every week. I think that's my new deal.
No, that's what we need. I mean, again, we talk about it all the time for the SG Tour Golf Gaming app. If you can get a guy that makes the cut, that's what you need in your team, because if not, they're marked for what, a 10 over each day? An
80. They're marked for an 80 if you don't get them in there, yeah.
I do have another name that I was looking at, and I hovered over him and was like, oh, he's only 90 to 1. So I can't do that. But then I remember that you did that a couple of weeks ago. So
I'll give you a 90.
Aaron Rai, I'm going to throw into the mix. Again, good finishes, 19th at Houston, 15th the week before. His numbers aren't mind-blowing, but his scrambling and his accuracy stats are pretty good. So, I mean, above average. And I think Aaron Rai could be one to watch this week.
It's a good pick too. And you're right about this week. It's the last kind of week on the tour. Guys are starting to think about what they're going to be doing in the next month or so. There's going to be a lot of impatience on this event this week. Guys who blow up early and can't make the cut, they're just going to check out. I've seen it a million times, played on tour for 30 years. The guys who are playing really well have a chance to get to the top real quick in an event like this. So I like guys that are coming off Houston playing well. And I've stacked all mine that way, Diane. I know you have a little bit, except with Louis. And I don't know why Louis is there, but I still like your pick.
And before we go, there's another name that I want to add into the mix. Robert Streb, who won last year, who said that he beat Kevin Kisner in a playoff, just finished 7th at Houston, finished 9th at the CJ Cup in Vegas not long before that. And he is 70 to 1 plus 7,000. 16th in scrambling, 9th in accuracy. We know those are his strong stats from last year as well. So there you go, Robert Streb. There's good value there, hopefully.
Vegas has lost it this week. We've got all good picks this week. Plays with a 10-figure grip. He played with Kochrack, I think, on Saturday, which I know you spoke to Jason on the phone about him being 6 under for the round when they called doctors, and then he came back and had 8 over for the last 7 holes. And Streb plays with a 10-finger grip, so he has a lot of wrist action. Sam saw him play 2 incredible bunker shots. He asked me if I think Sam should play with a 10-finger grip for bunker shots. So he was impressed with Streb.
And let's just throw one more into the mix. The guy that was leading the tournament for a long way opened with 265s last week in Houston, and just a couple of bad holes just to finish up, dropping him into a tie for 5th. But Martin Traynor is 350 to 1 this week.
This week?
This week!
Well, he had a bad run. The word on the tour was he'd had about 12 weeks without making a cut, and then found himself with a 1-shot lead or with 4 or 5 holes to go. Finished up, that would be very nerve-wracking, even for someone, that hasn't made any money for 4 months. Now he's got all the pressure of the world to try to win. He wants to make it, all that. And okay, he finished, he still got out of without being, completely chopped up. So yeah, he's not a 351 guy, but there's another guy that probably play good again. He's going to take advantage of that good form.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure after all those miscuts, he would have been extremely happy with a 5th place finish in Houston.
I saw him holding his wife's hand, so I'm sure they were both happy when they were walking off the putting green last time.
It's nice. Right, so let's get the games in on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, because this might be the final chance we have in 2021. So download the app in the App Store, and then you're going to need to pick your 4-ball team. So a guy from tier A, B, C, and D, and the 4 tiers are split up by the official World Golf Rankings. You want to find 4 guys that are going to make the cut. You're going to want to try and beat Elk. That's the name of the game.
That's the name of your game. Why does everyone want to beat me? I was last in everything this last week, so.
I know that.
I did not do well at all.
Okay, well, this is your week for redemption then.
Yeah.
Right, well, and also thank you to Jason Kochrack for catching up with us after his victory in Houston. We'll do a show for the QBE shootout, the Shark shootout, where the guys play in teams. We know we're going to see Kochrack performing again. I think he's teamed up with Kevin Na for that week.
I think you're right.
So that'll be fun. So we'll be back and we'll handicap that. But good luck with all your picks this week for the RSM Classic.
Play Money Grabber on the SG Tour. Instead of strokes, it's all about the cash. You pick a team of 4 players, 1 from each tier, and scoring is based on the money that your team wins. Your guys miss the cut? No problem, you're still in the game. The SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store.